All right, so we talked about on the last episode. We talked about the Pistons and Knicks and Celtics Warriors. We previewed both of these games. And we talked Tyreek Hill pursuing either Dallas or Kansas City for this offseason. And then Major League Baseball is back, which means spring training is actually starting today. So, and also other previous episodes, CB3 announced retirement, and an NBA stop tanking rule. It will take place next year. We did have breaking news. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then Tyreek Hill's release. So those are the previous episodes. And also the death of Jesse Jackson. He passed on this past Tuesday. So, but today, this is a doubleheader. First episode of the doubleheader. What's in store? And say good morning, everyone. This is JDB's Morning Cap. This is episode 1 of the doubleheader. This is actually episode 31 officially. We have episode 32 today as well. Remember, we had 5 shows in 3 days this week because I had to do in-house work last week. So today we'll talk sporting topics. In our first episode, in the second we'll have to talk more. We're going to talk NCAA tournament preview. It's not official yet. It won't be official till less than a month. So we're absolutely looking forward to 2026 NCAA tournament. It starts less than a month from first four to national championship. So let's get started. All right, let's start with a breaking news. What happened yesterday in the NFL? According to Adam Schefter from NFL ESPN Insider, the Bears bill had passed to leave Illinois to Chicago. To Indiana. The Bears will play the stadium called Hammond, Indiana. It's closest to the lake. So that's a few hours from Indianapolis. So Indiana has passed their bill to leave Chicago to Hammond, Indiana. So they can assure that they can decreasing the Chicago teams. So if Bears do leave Indiana, there's no Chicago football team, just a baseball team, basketball team, and hockey as of right now. For baseball right now, it's White Sox and the Cubs. Basketball is the Bulls. Hockey is Blackhawks. NFL is still the Bears right now in Chicago. So let me ask the first question of this. What was my reaction of the Bears are possibly moving to Indiana in the near future? Well, my reaction, I'm in shock that the Bears are leaving Chicago because it felt like this city and and this community has raised lower money. But when it said it was a done deal yesterday, the fans were not too pleased or moving to Indiana because it felt like these guys. It feels like the Chicago Bears fans, or the Chicago fan base has been frustrated, and and they should be frustrated because the way it felt like there's a lot of bad things going at the plate because of it, and to me, it doesn't seem right for this. So how the Bears can get a new stadium at Hammond, Indiana? The capacity expect to be higher. Expect to be a dome stadium, and they expect to have field of space. So, which could also be, they're not just playing him in Indiana. They could, the March Madness. They could have Final Four. They could have Final Four, Super Bowl, WrestleMania, college football playoff, or national championship. Maybe it could work. It could work out as well as planned. Hammond is the small city of Indiana, by the way. It's actually a small city. I mean, there's no getting around it, but you really hate to see that in that situation. The unanimous vote yesterday was 24-0. Total domination as far as voting by the board of trustees in Chicago. I mean, Barack Obama said we could be saddened that the Bears are leaving Chicago for Indiana. Understandable. We understand we have to support their petition to keep the city of Chicago. But I'd love to see staying in Chicago for a few more years. So the best chance to get that stadium done is they could start construction in the middle of 2026. Then it could be done by end of 2027. They could play in this stadium in 2028, roughly 2028. The Bills are going to play the new stadium this year, new Highmark Stadium. The inaugural new stadium. This will be inaugural season in the new Highmark Stadium for the Buffalo Bills. So we'll find out what's the official grand opening. They could play a Super Bowl there too over the next few years. So the league have not been decided yet. Super Bowl 61 will play at the SoFi Stadium next year in Inglewood on Valentine's Day, February 14th. We've been discussing in the last few weeks. But Caleb Williams, so does it mean the helmets could change, the logos could change? Yeah. They should wear a Bears type of helmet instead of wearing a C. When they move to Hammond, Indiana, they should move This should work. This is a necessary expansion. It's not necessary well, could have been, but which means Indiana will have two football teams, the Colts and the Bears. Colts from Indianapolis, Bears from Hammond, possibly. Do you think this could be a rivalry? Yeah, it could be. They're close to each other, by the way. And by the way, these two played each other in the Super Bowl in 2006-2007 season, and Colts won the Super Bowl. It was Peyton Manning versus Rex Grossman. It was like that. So there's history right there. And that makes the community a whole lot difficult. It makes a whole lot difficult, to say the least. Because of that, some people may not like it. It would have been different. You already played a bunch of deciding factors. Then you're going to go against each other. But it's a different story. And in the Bears, yeah, they really know that the city moving to relocate. I mean, it's about the relocation. So I mean, there's a notable relocations. The Bears are going to relocate to Indiana. The A's will not relocate to away from California until 2028. The A's will play West Sacramento for a couple of years. And they will not play in Las Vegas until 2028, when the new stadium gets finished in Las Vegas. So that's ironic because both Bears and A's have played respective cities. The A's played in Oakland for 57 years. The Bears have played in Chicago longer than the A's. So this is really sad. It is sad that the Bears are leaving Chicago for majority different reasons. So when they're going to get it done and how they're going to get it done. So the goal is to get that stadium they can start constructing by the middle of this year, and they could end it by end of 2027. So the Bears could play in Hammond, Indiana in around 2028. That's your best target target one. The final season could be next year in Chicago. Chicago is the best sport, best city, best town, the best sporting fans on the north side of Chicago. North side Chicago, you got the Bears and Cubs are part of the north side of sports of Chicago. South side has the Bulls, White Sox, and Blackhawks. The Bears that play Soldier Field, the Cubs that play Wrigley Field. Bears and Bulls are both playing United Center. White Sox play Rate Field. So, the Bears have been a Super Bowl champion before. Cubs have been a World Series champion before. Blackhawks have won a Stanley Cup before. White Sox have won a World Series. Bulls have won the NBA Finals. So those are championships they had to bring. I got nothing against Chicago. I love Chicago. But it's disappointing that they're leaving Chicago. It's absolutely disappointing. That they're leaving Chicago for Hammond, Indiana. It's tough. It's tough to situate this. It has to be tough. It has to be tough because of that. It sometimes it's really hard to get through it than they were than expected. So, yeah, it's really hard to get through this. Chicago is showing a lot of support, showing a lot of love, showing a lot of happiness. So you can enjoy your own life. But at the same time, it is really tough to get through it. It sure has. It's really difficult to get through this in the process. The way they handle themselves, They can't leave Chicago. They can't. They don't like it. I mean, they can protest, they can salute themselves, they can do whatever they want. But you're not going to win this one. No way. It's tough to get through this. It really is. And now they're saying they're going to press conference themselves today about moving to Indiana. We'll give you all the details, what's going on. It has been a really tough last 24 hours for the Bears in Chicago. I mean, I'm saying this We've been saying this for a long time. We I love Chicago, like I said, and we need to bring it back to this city. We need to bring this back in this community. It's been a tough week in Chicago. We already lost Jesse Jackson this week. He passed this past Tuesday. And now the Bears are moving to Hammond. So this is a golden opportunity to wait with it. Right now, the Bears in Chicago, this is a money tax. There's nothing they can do. It's disappointing. It is absolutely disappointing for the Chicago Bears fans who supported their city. Now, let's see if the Bears can grind themselves out. And let's see if they can do it here. All right, so coming up next on JDB's Morning Cap, we'll recap between the Pistons and the Knicks. And then Jaylen Brown's triple-double for the Celtics in San Francisco. And then A.J. Brown's future continues to heat up here. And then we have NBA end-time taking rule update. We'll talk about that in episode 31, the first episode of the doubleheader. So we will continue to progress themselves. And it is all coming up in our first episode of the doubleheader of JDB's Morning Cap. We will step away in about 3 minutes. Welcome back on JDB's Morning Cap. Last night, the Pistons took on the Knicks in New York yesterday. Cade Cunningham finished 42 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. And end up beating the Knicks, and they swept the Knicks in a 3-game season series, 126-111 in New York. The Pistons remains the best record in basketball with a 41-13 record. Knicks dipped to 35-21 on the season. So right now, despite the fact Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is favored to win the MVP, do you think Cade Cunningham continues to play his MVP resurgence? Yes. I believe he has played his own resurgence. He's got a chance to candidate for the MVP. He is candidate for MVP. Right now, this team has played 54 games. The 54 games into the season, if they continue to keep him up, to continue to play their best basketball, they could be the best team in basketball by the end of the year. The Pistons have the number 1 defensive rating in the NBA for majority different reasons. They rebound, they force turnovers, they're physical on both sides of they're physical on both sides of the ball. Those are the consistent type of production on the defensive side of the ball. And on the offensive end, they done some good things as well. They done a lot of good things. They're shooting a high clip from the field. They drive to the paint a lot. They getting offensive rebounds. They're benefiting points. The points are beneficial. So that's a key to win, to beat the Knicks. You have to rebound themselves. So that is a golden finish for Detroit to put things together. So if that's the case, then there's not much of a difference for this one. So if that's the case, then Detroit's a pretty good basketball team, to say the least. So the Pistons had no Duran and Stewart because they served their suspensions from last week's altercation against the Hornets. So Cade Cunningham didn't rely on not just Cade Cunningham. Paul Reed had a good game, 18 points. Tobias Harris had 11. Azir Thompson with 10. So there's some consistency for supporting cast for the Pistons last night. So that's a good sign for them. 41 wins through 54 games. That's a pretty good record. That's how you win basketball games in the city of Detroit. Bickerstaff could consider winning a Coach of the Year consideration. The way he's been producing, the way he's been coaching consistently. But you got to learn these processes. But they've done a solid job. Just cleared their patience because of that. So I think Detroit is legit to go to the NBA Finals and battle the Thunder or the Spurs. The Western Conference, we'll get to that in our next segment, but Detroit has a pretty good chance to come out of the East. Right now, the Celtics are number 2, Knicks are number 3. The Cavs are number 4. They come off their win yesterday. They could be the number 3 seed by the end of this week. The Cavs are playing the Hornets today, second night of the back-to-back. So if the Cavs win today, they could be the number 3 seed. They could sneak past it. I think they could sneak them in. That makes a matchup a whole lot harder now. That we know. Meanwhile, for the New York Knicks, struggled yesterday. Knicks struggled. Despite Jaylen Brunson had a 33-point masterpiece. Towns had 21. Hart had 11. Anunoby had 8. He struggled. 3 of 13 from the field. The Knicks did shoot pretty well. They did shoot well, 47%. But three-pointers, Knicks went 8 for 35 from downtown, which is 23%. 21 for 28 at the line. Struggled as well. They just could not come through. At all. They just couldn't. They couldn't come through at all. That's been a point of emphasis. The Knicks offense struggled to generate threes. In losses, they struggled to knock down some threes. That's been a consistent point. That has been a consistent point part of the season. To why is this team struggling from downtown for the New York Knicks yesterday? Because they feels like they're taking a lot of threes. Some having good looks. They just weren't able to knock it down. And then taking unnecessary shots. That's not how this team works. You cannot take unnecessary 3-point shots. If you do, you're likely going to miss shots. You're likely going to miss a lot of 3-pointers. And that's going to affect themselves in the playoffs. They're just not good enough to get back to the conference finals if the Knicks do make the playoffs. They don't have that kind yet. So the Knicks have to play better. As a team. And that's what happens when you're struggling to go through that. It's a problem. It's 100% problem right now for the Knicks. But they're still in good shape. They can get back on track, get back to the win column, and hopefully they can unable to scratch their heads. They can't have head scratchers. The Knicks will play the Rockets in the Garden tomorrow night. So let's see if the Knicks could turn things around. Otherwise, they can't do that. This is a really bad situation right now. All right, coming up next, we'll talk about the Celtics and the Warriors, the game we just saw last night. Then we'll talk A.J. Brown's future and NBA anti-taking rule. And then we'll end that episode there. And then coming up later on today, on this next episode, we'll talk March Madness. We'll preview March Madness. March Madness is less than a month away. So when we come back, we'll talk more on this. And we'll see how this we'll talk all this when we come back. Welcome back of this JDB's Morning Cap. The Celtics battled the Warriors last night. Jaylen Brown had a triple-double yesterday. He finished 23 points, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. And then Peyton Pritchard finished 26 points. He actually leads the team. He has 7 assists and 6 rebounds. He also made 6 3-pointers as the Celtics with a 121-110 win over the Warriors in San Francisco. So, meanwhile, for the Warriors, Melton leads the way for the Warriors with 18 points. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But the Celtics improved to 36-19 on the season. So here's the question right now. Do you think this could set up for Jason Tatum's possible return? Yeah, it should be. That's what should be done. Contributions could lead to Jason Tatum's return. That's the key. The contributions is expect to happen when we hits to March. And they can put themselves in a winning mode. You gotta put yourself in a winning mode. That's the key. If you beat the Celtics, if you beat these teams, the Celtics can beat any of these teams. Look at this. You got to play Cleveland next month. You got to play Golden State again. You got to play Oklahoma City twice. This is a big schedule for them. If the Celtics can pass all these tests, they could end up the number 2 seed by the end of the regular season. I'm just saying. The Celtics are continuing to play at a high level. When stretches going like this, this team could dig deep themselves. That makes the path a whole lot easier. But it really does turn out really well, doesn't it? But it felt like there's a lot of different chances than were they supposed to. But there's not a whole lot you couldn't do about that. But that's the difference. The difference is just get over it. This is the situations you got to make. The Celtics. Do you believe that Joe Mazzulla has done a pretty darn good job? Yes, he has. Sure has. I mean, you cannot explain your difference. Because of that, they felt like these guys are just learning and kept learning. They kept learning. You got to learn how to win basketball games without your star player. They have done that. But you have another star player who plays well, Jaylen Brown. He's played a good, solid role because when he scores, he wins games. Jaylen Brown only had under 25 points, but he played an unselfish performance to help the Celtics to win games, to rely on someone else like Pritchard, Vucevic, White, Cade, Hauser, Gonzalez. The consistent type production is going to be the key to win games for the Celtics by going forward. It should happen. And I'll be happy to speak with that about the Celtics, because Celtics do not play until Sunday. They'll play the Lakers. They're on a 4-game West Coast trip. They have 3 more West Coast road games. They got the Lakers on Sunday. They got the Suns and the Nuggets. Before they head back home. Jason Tatum will return on March 1st. Most likely March 1st. There's no pushbacks. It's time to get serious. So hopefully that would be the case right now. And this is different. And hopefully your team is turning the corner. Hopefully your team is turning the corner. Time and time again. I mean, this is what just happened for this one, and how's this going to shape out for them? All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the Warriors for roughly 9 more minutes. We'll talk 9 minutes, not just the Warriors, the rest of the Western Conference. Warriors did end up losing by 11. Melton had 18 points. He led the team yesterday. Santos had 17, including 5 made threes. So there were some good things yesterday. And Porzingis' debut. Richard had 17 points himself. Porzingis had 12. He played 17 minutes. Warriors were down as many as 34 points, but they outscored the Celtics in the fourth quarter 37-19. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. So losing by 11 is actually not that bad. Without Stephen Curry, losing by 11 to the Celtics is actually not a bad loss. They were down by 34 at one point. Let's see how the Warriors can make a huge fourth quarter run to provide a spark. You may not end up winning the game, but you done some powerful things in the fourth quarter. But you would have done enough. But the bad second quarter proved them costly. They were outscored by the Celtics in the second quarter, 38-19. They were trailing 74-51 at halftime. At one point, they were trailing as many as 34 points, or parts of the third quarter, and then they came back. But they came up short. They tried to come back, but they came up short. So, the consistency is going to be key for the Warriors by going forward. We know about the third quarter. Warriors have been very good in the third quarter. So since that time, let's look at this. The Warriors have lost 5 of their last 7 games since Curry. Curry has not played since January 30th. Stephen Curry has not played a game since January 30th. It's been 3 weeks since, it's been at least 3 weeks since he was out. And now Stephen is ineligible to qualify for the awards when he comes back. It's really tough. It's a tough world right now for the Warriors. So where's the production going to come from without Stephen Curry? I mean, we've seen some good things. We've seen some decent production without Stephen Curry. Baczynski, Moody, Melton had a good game yesterday. Santos had a good game yesterday. Richard had a good game yesterday. Porzingis Porzingis had a decent debut yesterday, so that was a good sign for him. He only played 17 total minutes. The Warriors are dealing a bunch of injuries right now. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough world right now. It is really tough to get through this. So they'll try to prove it in their next game. The Warriors will not play until this Sunday against the Nuggets. The Nuggets have been struggling lately, by the way. Let's talk about the rest of the West in general. Spurs with a win yesterday over Phoenix. Rockets beat the Hornets last night. Nuggets with a heartbreaking loss to the Clippers yesterday on the road. Thunder is playing tonight against the Nets. The Wolves are going to play the Mavericks tonight. Lakers play the Clippers tonight. Second night of the back-to-back for the Clippers. So, look at the top 6 playoff teams. We have Wolves, Lakers, Nuggets, Rockets, Spurs, and Thunder. The 6 teams would have been in the playoffs right now if the playoff had started, or if the season had ended today. These 6 teams will clinch the playoffs. Suns, Warriors, Clippers, and Blazers will have to require a play-in tournament to get to the playoffs. So who has a better chance to come out of the West, Spurs or the Thunder? Probably the Spurs, because of Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama has a chance to win a Defensive Player of the Year. At that point, because the San Antonio Spurs, excuse me, would see a lot of great toughness They could face the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. And this could be a 7-game series. And because of that, these Western Conference teams are probably no joke right now. So this is what happened when you're going against it. Then you would have been somewhere else. But it's not. It's not because of that. It's a brand new world for these guys to get to the top, to get to the point, to get through this and make a huge difference. That's going to be the key for the rest of its life. I think Spurs have a better chance to come out of the West because of Victor Wembanyama's size and advantage. That's the difference. That's the difference right now to show for it. But there's not much you can learn from it. This is a different story. You're exactly right, but you really don't want to see anyone getting hurt or otherwise. So that will be that. So that would be that in this one here. So let's see if the Warriors could dig deep down the stretch and try to figure things out before March hits. All right, so coming up on JDB's Morning Cap, we'll talk A.J. Brown's future in Philadelphia. And then we'll talk NBA end-time tanking situation from Adam Silver. We'll talk about that. And then also coming up in our next episode today, we'll do the entire coverage of, we'll preview the March Madness. It's coming up in less than a month. So it's coming up. So come next, we'll have A.J. Brown's future and NBA's end-time taking rule in place. It's coming up next. Welcome back here on JDB's Morning Cap. Let's talk NFL right now. Let's go back to the NFL. The A.J. Brown trying to get rid of Philadelphia and moving to other teams. So here's the question. Does A.J. Brown's future matters him? Yeah, it could happen. We could see where they're going to destinate right now. So where I can destinate for A.J. Brown? What's the best fit? Kansas City, Detroit, Houston. How about the New York Giants could get A.J. Brown? There's some teams. Pittsburgh. Maybe the Falcons. There's some teams they are interesting in right now, but there's a lot of teams they could be interested ahead of the off season. So there's a lot going on. So or the Patriots, and this could be the better fit. The Patriots could reunite Mike Vrabel this offseason if they choose this way. But this is a golden opportunity to give A.J. Brown a huge opportunity to reunite Mike Vrabel and you put yourself in a beneficial situation, and because of that, Philadelphia will have no receivers. Even they had Devontae Smith, he could get paid at any time. But I love Devontae Smith's agility. I love him. The fact was, can they put themselves in prime position where they're used to be? You can't have this situation that you're going at it right now. This is the situation you're gonna take away from. This is an issue. The issue is, can they get over this hump, or they can get rid of AJ Brown for good? Technically, they have to get rid of AJ Brown for good. That doesn't mean he's no fit for this team. He's won a Super Bowl for them. At least he done his part. But the path for AJ Brown is to focus on on and off the field. Off the field stuff, it will be completely situated. You're like, watch out. You think Philadelphia deserves a high raise for them? No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't deserve a high raise. Although, I do like the fact that this team is trying to convince they can bring AJ Brown back. They're not. I just don't see AJ Brown bringing back to Philadelphia because the mess, the situation, it's gonna sting out for it. It's gonna sting it out. It's gonna sting out a whole lot harder. It's just because of that. So that I'm saying there's not a lot you can prove with. It's really hurting. It's really hurting right now. That's the situation you really do not want to see. And you hate to see that by going forward right now. Okay, let's change gears. Adam Silver is talking about the anti-taking rules will take place next year, which means that taking could stop. Oh, and several changes for the NBA rules along with it. So I'm going to ask this question. What happens? So why do you think anti-taking rule will take place next year? I think it's best for the franchise to look to see they get a high quality draft picks. They're looking to see there's a high quality draft picks. That's the anti-taking rule. So they can deal with the financial tax, the talent contracts, the rookie contracts, the tenders, the franchise contract tenders. But they're going to make sure you got to talk to the front office. You got to talk to the general manager. You got to talk to the league. That's the first thing. That's the first thing you got to ask. Can you talk to the organization before you make a move? But you got to think in your head. You got to think in your head, man. Those are the anti-taking situations you got to make. But that is not necessarily a good compliment that you want to ask for it. But this is a better path for this one, and that's how you really tough it out, because this is a situation that you're gonna make. Then you can take it. You can take it for someone else. You can take this one for someone else. That's a different story. You put yourself in a really, really bad spot, because the NBA tanking rules could lead to a fine. And now, when they're taking place next year, how's this going to work? How's the NBA anti-tanking rules going to work? First, they have to review to see whether or not there's a intentional trade. If there's an intentional trade, then it could lead to a fine. And then the teams could not allow to get rid of the players who is talented and move on to the other teams. That's how the anti-tanking rule works. That's what the difference is all about. You cannot leave anti-tanking stuff. You gotta leave that stuff alone. You have to leave that alone. Because of that, you ought to resolve your issues. You ought to resolve your own issues. Because of that, a lot of things they can be more than proud of. And that's what the difference is all about, is NBA anti-tanking rule. So they gotta stop doing it. They gotta stop tanking. If that's the case, it's gonna cause dollar bills, because it could lead to a fine for this. So that will be that. So if that's the case, then you put yourself in a really, really bad spot right now, and it's not going to help your own cause. NBA anti-tanking rule needs to stop. All right, so we're going to end this episode here. Coming up next, before we do that, what did I say earlier today about this show? Before I get to that, the segment 1 of episode 31, Bears are moving to Hammond, Indiana in the near future. We talk about Pistons. Cade Cunningham's 42-point performance ended up sweeping the Knicks in the regular season series. Jaylen Brown's triple-double performance in a Celtics victory over the Warriors. Then we talk about A.J. Brown's future in Philadelphia. And then moments ago, we talked about anti-tanking rule. So what's coming up next? Our next episode on Morning Cap later on today. We'll talk March. We'll talk the full coverage of March Madness. So we'll get to that in this one. So we'll talk March Madness for the entire coverage. Which 68 teams are in the tournament? 8 teams. We'll talk more about that in our next episode later in our next episode today. So I'm gonna take about at least a 30-minute break, and then we'll start the new episode in about 30 minutes. So don't adjust your seatbelts. Just stay with us. Here, we'll be back in about 30 minutes at the very least. So I got something to do, and then I'll come back in here, and then start the new episode. So we'll be back in about 30 minutes at the very least.